Signori miei, bentornati con Autopsy Simulator, siamo nel mezzo della nostra casa disastrata. Gesù Cristo. Che poi non mi ricordo se l'avevo messa a posto.
Oh yeah, I should take my pills.
Ah giusto, devo prendere le pilloline. Ah sì, l'ha messa a posto lui. Che bravo. Che bravo. Comunque non credo sia proprio horror. Probabilmente sarà un'esperienza mancata dell'horror, non lo so.
I feel like it takes me forever to finish these things. That's enough. It will never look clean. I need to quickly change and finish getting ready.
Ok. Prima fine di preparare e andare
I'm gonna be late for work again.
al lavoro. Perché mi è capitato di leggere, diciamo, pareri di
Got my
persone
keys, got my files. Check.
che l'hanno giocato e finito.
Time to go. Remember to close the door properly, Jack.
Io mi
The last time they
aspettavo
were still
Marco
on, if they saw
Giuda.
anything suspicious.
Fuck.
Ugh.
Che cazzo parla sto stronzo però? Minchia,
I
guardate
wonder
che...
if Ridley
Cioè-
fixed the coffee machine.
Ogni 2 secondi, porco Giuda.
Alice used to joke that smoking near plants made cigarettes less harmful.
Mi raccomando, non chiudere neanche stavolta la porta di ingresso, tanto chi se ne frega. Giusto? C'è niente sotto, no? Mi è capitato di leggere dei pareri di molta gente si è lamentata del fatto che comunque sia non è horror. Comunque è un'esperienza mancata dell'horror, nel senso che comunque sia potevano spingere di più sull'acceleratore, ecco. È tutto qui. Bella merda. Peccato, cioè io mi aspettavo, capito, fosse una simulazione sì delle autopsie eccetera, ma ci avessero incastrato una jump scare roba così. Perché è in crisi? Rip. Che cazzo sono finito? Forse dove se prendevo le scale. What the fuck? Ma sbaglio, sono tornato. Ma ho sbagliato io o sono scemo? What the fuck? Scusa. Ma ho messo F, non è il piano terra tecnicamente. No. Non lo so cosa ho sbagliato, però ok. Mi ha riportato quel piano. Adesso invece è giusto. Comunque spero che la serie vi stia piacendo, ragazzi, ovviamente la porto a termine. Ma ne ho altre in arrivo. Tra l'altro, non so se avete notato, ma avevo ragione, è uscita la notizia di The Thing Remastered. Però non è una semplice remastered, ho letto anche che sarà una... Cioè, tipo cambieranno alcune cose.
Better grab a coffee on the way.
Tipo interazioni sociali migliori, cose del genere, quindi ben venga, anche perché se comunque venderà The Thing la cosa, remastered, se venderà secondo me faranno anche un secondo capitolo. Io ovviamente lo acquisto subito, anche perché uscirà pure per console, fortunatamente, quindi lo acquisto anche per console. Darò il mio contributo, non chiederò né chiavi né nulla, proprio lo compro, non me ne frega, anche se a prezzo pieno da 80 euro lo compro. Cioè proprio The Thing, sapete che io cioè l'ho portato pure da poco, raga, vi rendete conto? Se l'avessi saputo che c'era la remastered in programmazione forse non l'avrei riportato, anche perché comunque se si dice che l'uscita sarà quest'anno, quindi voglio dire non c'è molto da aspettare, a meno che non lo rimandino. Ok, ora voglio vedere che...
I'm exhausted.
Minchia, sei arrivato a lavoro e sei già esausto.
I wonder who Steven brought in today.
Oh, tornato, mi sta sul cazzo Steven.
Good morning, Mr. Ridley. No, he's not here yet? No, I'll do without him.
Oh Gesù, wanted fugitive. Peter Red Pit Hockett. È quello che è fuggito dall'incidente, quindi. Ok. Portiamo il Che cazzo è che ha riso? Posso mollare? No.
Almost there.
Vediamo che ci capita stavolta.
The tough part. The body needs to be moved. Where's Ridley when you need him?
E noi non abbiamo energia. Vai.
Alright. I just need some gloves and my apron. Then I can get to work.
Ok, allora, quindi questo. I miei
I'm going to need
guantini.
my tape recorder for this.
Ok. The voice recorder lying on the desk. Ah, ok, questo. Come mai?
Autopsy dated November 22nd, 1991. 7:32 p.m. Led by Dr. Jack Hanman.
Ah, ma che strano, non usa la videocamera stavolta, ok. Vediamo il rapporto di polizia, anche se non facendoci vedere chi è.
I begin
È una
by
trappola, secondo
verifying the
me.
identity of the Jane Doe.
Jane Doe, ok.
It's most likely Harper Lloyd, age 35, found in a well-owned house by her neighbors Leonard and Dorothy Chelsea, reported missing for a week.
Una settimana, quindi posso immaginare che buon odorino che ha. Ok.
It is also known that the deceased was diagnosed with affective bipolar disorder.
Okay.
Harper was placed on drug therapy, which she dropped out of fairly regularly. During her treatment, she was under the care of her common law partner, Richard Benson, professional truck driver. The last person who had contact with the deceased was her partner. Harper's last message read as follows: "I'm gonna take a shit in their stupid well. Then we'll see who has the last laugh." Nice one.
Gesù.
Police records also show that Mrs. Lloyd was in constant conflict with her neighbors. The constant parties and subsequent brawls made living in the area nearly impossible, especially when Lloyd's partner wasn't around.
Oh.
Firefighters found the body after the Chelsea family began complaining that their tap water tasted strange.
Che
And at
schifo.
one point, had begun to smell and turn a dark color.
Madonna. Ok, quello di averle esaminate tutte. Ok.
I proceed to open the bag and
Madonna.
check the state of decomposition of the corpse.
Ma sono
The most important
liquefatto.
task in forensic identification of a drowned person is to distinguish whether the death occurred before or after entering the water.
Cioè, immaginate lo stato di questo cadavere, dai. Ah, lo devo tirare.
Okay, that could have been worse. I carefully removed the victim's clothes so as not to damage the skin.
Oh, però c'era delle Air Jordan, fasulle.
One shoe was missing.
Manca una scarpa,
The deceased was found fully clothed. I'm going to need the camera to document all possible suspicious marks.
Ok, dove c'era la videocamera sto giro? Perché qua c'è una valigetta? C'era anche prima la valigetta, non ricordo. Ma aspetta, la videocamera dove ce l'hai? Ah, beh, questa intendo. Non la videocamera. La Polaroid.
Definitely the first thing that stands out is the very advanced post-mortem gigantism.
Sì, infatti aveva collezionato un po' d'acqua il corpo. È diventata enorme.
The skin of the deceased appears very delicate, smooth, and relaxed from being in the water for a long time. The whole body is extremely pale.
Oh. Aspetta, non me la fa fare. Non facciamo la foto alla vulvina? I piedi sono lerci, mia bestiale. Ok. Ma che cazzo fai? Fammi la foto, porco Giuda. Mi fa la foto, lo odio. Ma che aumento lo zoom.
There are
Manca un
bruises
occhio.
and hemorrhages on the neck. These usually occur due to increased inhalation when fighting to breathe underwater.
Sì, ma manca un occhio. E questi?
There are some obvious scratches on the skin.
Ok. L'occhio mancante di chi è? Che schifo. Ma era gravida per caso. Piedini? No. Le manine?
The skin on the hands can be easily separated from the body. The separation takes the form of a glove.
Ah. Ok. Adesso che da questo lato abbiamo controllato, verifico. Questi, guarda.
The so-called washerwoman's skin on the feet. The deceased had indeed been in the water for a long time.
Una settimana, cioè.
It's likely that the deceased was lying on her back when she was fished out.
Ok.
Post-mortem markings are seen on the underside of the body. That is, on the back, thighs, and calves of the deceased.
Ok. Si procede. Pin photo. Ah, giusto.
So, after the preliminary exam, it's time to take a closer look at this.
Ok.
Today's date. The deceased was clothed. Rigor mortis does not need to be checked. Based on the state of decay, you can be sure it has subsided.
Inspect the areas of the concern with a magnifying... Ah, ok, classic. Ok.
Where to start?
La zampa, vediamo la mano.
No obvious signs of struggle. The skin on the hands would have easily peeled away from the flesh. Some of the fingers have already lost their nails. The spots have a purplish blue-red hue, which is a typical sign of the death of the organism.
Ah, ok. Questo invece...
There are obvious scratches on the skin, especially on the back and hands. These could be defensive wounds, evidence of some sort of altercation prior to death.
Qui?
We see thick white foam in the mouth of the deceased, resulting from pulmonary edema. Foam is a characteristic in deaths due to drowning.
Che schifo, madonna.
Yep, pretty typical. Liver mortis are formed as a result of putrefaction of blood in the veins.
Cristo. Ma potevo non registrarlo dopo aver fatto colazione, per Dio.
Due to the fact that the deceased was wearing shoes all the time, her feet are in better condition than her hands. Nevertheless, we can still notice a clear, wavy skin and the so-called washerwoman's skin texture. Okay, that's probably enough to indicate a direction for further examination. I
Clipboard.
better note that down in the records.
Allora.
Marks found on the neck and foaming at the mouth are typical signs of drowning people.
Boh, anche questa... Oh, nessuno che è stato ucciso, porca miseria.
Those abrasions appear relatively fresh. No healing or scarring is visible. Hands heavily wrinkled from submersion in water, typical washerwoman's skin.
Mancano alcune unghie.
There doesn't seem to be anything unusual about this liver mortis. Diffuse spots are caused by blood rotting in the veins. Considering the deceased's penchant for drinking alcohol, it could have been a mere accident.
Un altro incidente. Ah, Gesù. Però qua c'è scritto che potrebbe aver lottato.
Fortunately, the skin on the hands didn't fall off. Otherwise, I'd have trouble identifying the deceased. Maybe it's just an abrasion, or maybe the result of a fight and being pushed into a well. In this case, the question is, was drowning an accident or of suicidal intent? Liver mortis of a different color could indicate poisoning with carbon monoxide, cyanides, or nitrates. However, this is not the case here. Their distribution suggests that the victim was probably lying on her back when fished out of the water. A simple trip, loss of balance, and as a result, you end up in a deep hole with no way out. That's all for now. Before I begin the dissection, I'll make sure the suggested identity is correct. The suitcase with the fingerprint equipment should be around here somewhere.
Ah, ecco perché vedi, l'avevo notato allora. Sembrava strano.
Oh, here it is. The fingerprint sheet should always be checked. Slipping fingers, too much or too little ink, or inaccurate hand position can make fingerprint. With decomposing bodies, the tissue of the pads of the fingers tends to shrink. To remove these shrinkages, a mixture of glycerin or air is used.
Ok.
If the body of the deceased is well preserved, fingerprinting is similar to that of a living person.
Ok, quindi abbiamo preso le impronte digitali.
I'm going to conduct a dactyloscopic examination. If in fact the deceased is in the police database, I will find her. Glycerin is injected successively between the nail and the skin of each finger. The substance then enters the fingertip, removing shrinkage and wrinkles.
Ok. Questa è nuova. Sai come mai ce l'ha fatto fare sta volta? Cioè, nel senso, lo so perché ce l'ha fatto fare, ok, ma una nuova cosa, è strano. Ero già pronto io ad aprirla in due come un totano, invece dobbiamo aspettare.
Now I take a brush. Only when the skin is taut and elastic can you use ink.
Brush dentro ah, ok. Ecco, sto aumentando il livello di difficoltà. Sto cambiando la skin. Si passa a personaggio non sbloccato.
I'm getting fingerprint samples. In the case of drowning victims, you have to be extremely careful. The skin may fall off the hand like a glove when you take the print.
Minchia. Ecco. Fatto.
I'll use the fax machine to add the print into the system.
Ok.
Green button and...
Via, e si ordina la pizza.
Once the data uploads, I'll run the prints against the police database on the computer.
Ok. Compare the fine the police database.
Great. The data is there. Click upload. Now, go through the database and find a matching print. Expect possible hours of fun.
Oddio. Così.
One more. Okay. Let's check for matches.
Vediamo. Se l'ho azzeccata al primo colpo. No!
This is not our Jane Doe. I wish there was an easier way to do this.
È questo. Sa che questo sia questo.
Analyze button.
È questo, sì.
And we have a result. Everyone has a story to tell, even if it's just a police record. So, as predicted, the deceased turned out to be Harper Lloyd. That went smoothly. I'll print this out and attach it to the medical records.
Ok, guardate. Aggressive behavior under the influence of alcohol. Vandalismo. Comportamento aggressivo. Sempre sotto l'alcol, l'influenza dell'alcol. Low level shoplifting, quindi rubava. Robine, da niente. Partecipato a... vabbè. Ha fatto rissa sotto l'influenza di droga. Buono, molto buono, molto buono. Ok.
Great. Now I can go back to my inspection.
Ok. Si torna all'autopsia.
I'm adding the name of the deceased. I'll start the internal examination by taking fluid from the victim's brain. A needle inserted through the nose will do the trick.
Schifo. Tools.
If the victim was alive when she fell into the well, she must have swallowed water fighting for her life. And then diatoms, characteristics of pooled water like a well, got into the body. In the meantime, I'll check the sample under the microscope.
Ecco.
I'm sure that these algae traces will be found in the samples taken from the well where police found the body.
Nuovi attrezzi comunque.
Now I need to adjust the knobs properly and place the diatom in the center of the slide. Diatoms are single-celled microscopic. I won't even notice an Great. This way I'll see if I'm dealing with a large concentration. Nah. Oh. I'm finally starting to see something here. The aperture. I'm finally starting to see something here.
Cazzo si vede una sega.
Perfect.
Ma è per il culo?
The aperture still needs adjustment. The image is too dark. Oh. I'm finally starting to see something here. It's not a dirty lens, I'm afraid. But rather a bad focus. I won't even notice.
No, aspetta così.
Great. This way I'll see if I'm dealing with a large concentration of these algae.
Ok.
As expected,
Oh.
we find the aforementioned algae in the solution. Their upper part, epitheca, which overlaps the lower, hypotheca, is clearly visible.
Oddio, ce l'ho fatta. Sono
The
mezz'ora qui,
presence of
raga.
diatoms in the brain samples taken indicate that the deceased was certainly alive when she fell into the water and was possibly conscious.
Ok.
Since there were diatoms in the brain, it means that many more of them must have entered the body. Studies of the rest of the organs will most likely confirm this hypothesis.
Ok. Quindi...
I can finally get to the practical part.
Vai di scalpello.
I must be extra careful because the skin of the deceased is very stretched. I wouldn't want an explosion here.
Madonna. Esplosione, minchia. Tipo un pacchetto di patatine pieno d'aria, no? Ok.
You can immediately see a very large swelling of the organs. In addition, all internal organs are very congested. I proceed to remove the rib cage.
Vabbè, sono un pro.
It's easy to see that the ribs have been imprinted in the lungs. So, I'm going to start by drawing blood from the lungs for testing for diatoms.
Lo sapevo.
If diatoms were only present in the lungs, this would mean that the victim was placed in the well after death, and the perpetrator wanted to get rid of the corpse in this way. Now, I remove the lungs and proceed to their examination. Taking the lungs in my hand, I feel that the tissues have lost their elasticity, which is the result of water emphysema.
Oh.
In addition, there is significant swelling of the organs, and as a result, we have a nice imprint of the ribs. The emphysema itself, it's clear how far it's progressed, which is characteristic of drowning.
Ok. Mo?
Corpses found in water are worth examining with a tomograph. However, I can't count on such luxuries, so I must reach for a more archaic technology. A bucket and water.
Yes. Storage room. Basta che non lagga. Minchia. Che sto cazzo di gioco gira benissimo, poi si mette a laggare a random. Tipo ora. Prendiamo sto merda di secchio.
Has anyone been here?
Sì, qualcuno ha toccato il secchio.
I hope no one dipped a mop in it. It's best to go to the lab for this.
Ha cambiato proprio il suo modo di parlare. Era in crisi. Boh. Perform a drown test. Ah, la vecchia maniera. Oh, merda. Forse dobbiamo prendere le medicine, che dici? Zuzzurellone. Ok, il secchio dove lo metto? In bagno? Porco mondo! Ah, devo riempire. Le medicine non le posso prendere. Cazzo era quel rumore, porca troia! Cristo, mi sono cagato. Performa drone test. C'è una spazzola, che cazzo? Sì, in tutto ciò mi fa ridere sta cosa. Performa drone test. Ok. Dove lo devo fare? Laboratorio. Oh, ma vai a
The
cagare.
lung float test is used to detect infanticide.
Cioè, io sono andato... Vabbè, lasciamo stare. No, perché c'è un lavello anche nel...
The water should be
di
at
là,
room
però.
temperature. That's enough.
Bravo.
To test for this, I have to place the lungs in a container of water. This checks if there is air in the lungs. And speaking of lungs, everything is ready to bring them here.
Ok. Dammi il tuo polmone.
Of course, such a study isn't without flaws. Air may have entered a newborn's airways during resuscitation attempts.
Dio.
Gases released during decomposition could also give a false result.
Guarda che bellezza. Signora, ne vuole? Cottura media per la signora.
In this case, however, it's about something else. Namely, the amount of fluid in the lungs.
Oh.
To test for this, I have to place the lungs in a container of water and wait to see if they fall or if they will float on the surface.
Ok.
Just as I assumed, the lungs collapsed easily.
Ok, quindi? Abbiamo dato una sciacquata con la candeggina adesso. Adesso dobbiamo aprirli, il laboratorio.
Fluid could have entered the lungs during panic attempts to catch breath underwater, but it could also be the result of bacterial infections or cancer, so further investigation is needed.
Tutto pur di farceli aprire.
I move on to dissecting the lungs of the deceased.
Ok. Whee!
You can hear the distinct, very unpleasant crackling of the tissues being cut through. The parenchyma is remarkably pale, although small hemorrhagic foci and petechia are present on the surface. All right. Now, I will check the collected fluid under a microscope.
Oh no.
If we find 20 diatoms on the slide, it can be considered drowning, and our result is not false positive due to possible contaminations.
Ok. Di nuovo sta roba.
Let's see.
No.
Although I won't even notice an army. The aperture still... Oh, the aperture still needs adjustment. It's not a dirty lens, I'm afraid. And perfect.
Così perfetto. Oh, ma guarda un po'. Aspetta, devo aggiustare. Focus.
As expected. Hence, the aperture still needs adjustment.
Dai,
The image is too
coglione.
dark. There are smaller and larger clusters of them. There will definitely be more than 20 of them.
Ok, quindi. Ah, perfetto.
I'll make a note of all this.
Return to the autopsy.
So far, this case looks pretty standard. It's clear from the beginning that it's drowning. Well, the procedure requires me to check everything anyway.
Ok.
So, I move on to checking the other organs. I ligate the heart, and then remove it for inspection.
Come sta?
Strongly developed putrefactic hemolysis of the organ can be seen at first glance. Apart from that, no signs of a heart attack or other heart disease.
Ok. Quindi anche questa affogata, cioè c'è nessuno che è stato ucciso veramente, per Dio.
I move on to the next organ. This time, it's the liver. It's immediately apparent that the deceased didn't care for herself. The beginnings of cirrhosis are visible in some areas.
Ok. Prossimo.
I transfer the organ to a board and proceed to dissect.
Ah, è chiaro. Non sapevo che voleva tagliarlo. Lo sapevo. Vediamo.
The cross-section clearly shows dilated veins and many small hemorrhagic foci.
Ok, fatto.
I must admit that this is quite a feat, considering the rather young age of the deceased. Harper enjoyed drinking so much that she might not have lasted a few more years.
Quindi era già cotta praticamente, perfetto.
I move on to the stomach. I take a sample of the fluid for testing.
Lo sapevo. Ma che
It
bontà.
looks very turbid. I'll see what happens after spinning.
Oddio.
But that's in a moment. Now, I carefully ligate the organ, then cut it off. It's enlarged, probably full of putrid gases. I transfer it to the board and carefully open it, checking the contents.
Oddio mio. Ci sarà un po' di pesto, non lo so dentro, guarda, non si immaginava che ci sarà dentro. Whee!
One thing you'd never get used to is how much this desk smells.
Cristo, immagino che schifo.
Okay, the stomach is full of fluid and unidentified organic matter, which is probably leftover food. So let's check the diatoms. Again, but in a centrifuge for a change. The problem with examining drowned people is being able to show whether the death was due to drowning or whether something else contributed to the death. Cramp, heart attack, drugs, homicide, or some accident. Such an analysis requires viewing from different angles and a careful interpretation of the collected data, including those from the field. That's why it's so important to collect as many samples as possible. Unfortunately.
Ma quanto cazzo parla sto gran figlio di puttana? Dio buone. Chiudilo quel forno ogni tanto. Ah, giusto, prendere il notebook. Ecco, infatti guardate che bella lagga, raga. A caso. Cioè il gioco gira benissimo, poi a casissimo mi dà sti problemi. Beh. Porco demonio, cioè puttana leva troia, bastarda. Oh. Allora, dobbiamo usare la centrifuga. Non poi ci facciamo anche un estratto di succo di melo, non lo so.
Okay, this is one last little sample.
Sì, one
Now
last.
set.
No, aspetta, allora. Cosa doveva cercare sto scemo? Non mi ricordo mica. Diatoms, 35 minuti del tempo, velocità 15. Ok. Ok. Mo, guarda, e spegni tutto, ma sta a
A
vedere.
considerable collection.
Vabbè che... Perché è rimasta la manina? Che cazzo? Per fortuna non si è spento
I'll run
nulla.
it directly
La
into the
prima
chromatograph and run it against the data from the police. I'm certain the analysis will show similarities between the fluid and water in Chelsea's well.
Ok. Prego.
Let me
Questo quanto
think.
è?
3 milliliters should be fine.
3. Ok. E vadi signore, per 3.
Okay, now it's the chromatograph's turn. Yes. The water sample matches the one provided by the police. Well, the results are quite clear. I was hoping it would be a more interesting case.
Ok. Quindi finisce così, affogata, bla bla bla.
More diatoms. Analysis indicates the same origin. Blah blah blah.
Bla bla bla. Ok.
There's little left to do. I'm going to check the airway patency of the deceased. Interesting. Looks like there's something stuck in the trachea. I'm moving to the board for further inspection.
Oddio. Oddio. Qua c'era bloccato una trachea, non scherzo. No, che cazzo fai?
I
Siete che non
dissect the
devo mettere il
trachea
tray. Ah, è
and
qua.
open the organ. Inside, I find a wedding ring. This is
Cazzo.
interesting. Let me look at it. Based on the
anello.
size,
What?
I can say that it's a woman's wedding ring, quite standard from the outside. There's an engraving inside.
913.980. Ok.
The fuck? But this is my ring. Alice's ring.
Guys,
But how did it, but this should be at home. I have it. At home.
oh no.
I have to check this out.
Le pillole.
Where are my meds? Where the fuck are my meds?
Ah. Ma se l'ha immaginato, spero. Altrimenti è grave. Altrimenti il tizio che è entrato in casa, che lo conosceva, ha preso l'anello. Non lo so. Se c'è ancora l'anello è un problema. Ma aspetta l'anello. Le ho già prese le pilloline in bagno. Perché me lo continui a dire? Ma è scemo. What the fuck? Ho preso e sono uscito. Me le ho prese le pillole dal bagno.
Jesus Christ! Hope this all make it go away.
Stupido. Quanto devi fare? 10 alla volta?
I have to check the apartment. It can't be. Jesus Christ!
Oddio, è in crisi. Mi scatta il Gesù.
Mr. Ridley.
Ma che roba.
Mr. Ridley!
What's all the ruckus?
I need to go home. Immediately.
What? Now?
I have to.
No,
Have you
domani.
seen anyone here this morning? Anybody suspicious?
No, there was no one. Dorothy was, but only for a moment, then she left. What's wrong with you, Hammond?
Okay. Thanks.
What about the corpse?
I'll come back, I promise. Jesus Christ!
Ok. Allora me ne vado. Mi incullo.
I have to check this out. This can't be real. Where is it? Where is it? Where? Please. It's not here. It's not. I need to go. This is
Sto
sick.
facendo.
Fuck.
Con due. Oh.
Come on, Steven. Pick up the fucking phone.
Hey. What's up, man?
They took the ring.
What? What ring? What are you talking about?
They took the wedding ring. Alice's wedding ring.
One sec. You mean burglary? You said nothing was missing.
Yes, I know that. I don't know. I was jittery. Maybe I didn't notice. I don't know, but that's not the worst of it.
Calm down, Jack. Breathe. What happened?
I found it in the trachea of the deceased I was working on. Do you understand? I pulled it out of a dead woman's trachea.
What?
I don't know what's going on. You think Red Pete wants revenge? He's playing with me. Huh? I knew it. I knew it from the beginning this was going to happen. I didn't make it up!
Jack, listen to me. Try to calm down. Don't leave the apartment. I'll be with you right away, okay? I'm on my way.
What sane person would do something like that? How? And when? When the fuck? Fucking Ridley lets in whoever he likes as usual. What are you saying? Steven? Don't leave me, man. Come on. Fuck. Oh, God, what now? calm down. Just calm down. I need a drink. Jesus. What's going on?
I need a drink. Un po' di whisky. Ma il bicchiere è vuoto, non c'è dentro nulla.
Just one sip more. Yep.
È un altro.
Jesus. Just one sip more. Okay.
Capitolo 3.
All right. I can't do it anymore. These reports will kill me one day. I'll have to finish it over the weekend. It's time to go to work. I should take out the trash first. Jesus. Fuck. Maybe I'll just ignore it.
Signori, termino qua quest'altro let's play di Autopsy Simulator. Se ne volete un altro, come sempre, supportate il video e ci vediamo con la prossima parte. Ciao a tutti.